What's up, you guys? Hopefully, I'm going live. I hope this is live. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Well, in today's video, live stream video, I want to talk about how you are able to become wealthy by being happy. Yep. And if you hear some cryings or some screamings, it's probably my daughters. Uh, but anyways, I thought I'd come on here and talk about how happiness could lead to wealth. And you might be thinking, like, what do you mean? That makes no sense. Well, let me try to explain what I'm trying to communicate. See, a long time ago, I learned that being content with what I have will lead me to being able to gain wealth. Um, because it allowed me to save significantly, actually. And here's the thing, like, once you are happy, and contentment, and the word content, being content, if you look it up, it's literally happiness. It is being happy with what you have. Being content with what you have is being happy with what you have. And I think what helps me is the fact that I did come from poverty, and growing up, I didn't really feel I was poor, though. My parents worked really hard to get us out of poverty, and we lived a really good life. We enjoyed a lot of things. We went to Disney. We took some trips. And for the most part, I didn't feel poor. I didn't feel like we didn't have anything. And we always felt happy. And so growing up and going off to college, and then after college, and I started working, started making some decent money. I was content with living in an apartment. I was content with driving a used car. That was just how I lived, and I think part of it was growing up in a family that didn't put a lot of value on stuff. Like my parents really put a lot more value on family, put a lot more value on uh, using money for good, to give, to help others. And I think that created a baseline for me to be able to be content. And unfortunately, I think in our society, in our culture, especially here in the States, in the United States, there's this culture in this move of just want, and it was definitely big in the 80s and 90s, and it's still significant today, and I think more so than before. This move of consumerism, this move of like wanting more, and I think it's even more prevalent now because of social media. It's the old adage of uh, uh, what is it? Keeping up with the Joneses. Now it's like on steroids because social media. People are comparing each other, like, with each other's houses and cars and clothes they wear, and I mean, look at their tennis shoes. Like it's crazy how much people are paying for tennis shoes, and just all sorts of stuff. And a lot of it has been motivated because this comparison, this keeping up with each other. Um, Thing because of social media. I think it's just escalated it. And I'm not sitting here judging or saying that it's wrong. And in a lot of ways, people, just the way they were raised, I mean, that's what they know, right? They know is to succeed and to be happy is to have those Jordans, or drive that Lamborghini that the Instagram influencer is driving. And being 25 years old and being a millionaire, or a self-proclaimed millionaire, and making millions on the internet. I mean, that's what they know. That's how they were raised, and that's how the culture is. um, and so I get it, but I think if we as a culture, and we as individuals, if you and I can be happy with what we do have, let's say, you know, um, you're able to reach certain milestones, right? Like, let's say, let's keep it simple, right? Let's stay at the what the average person would be happy with. Like, if you were happy with, owning a home, let's say we just got there, just owned a home, like not renting, but owning a home. If you're content having a car, a nice car, it doesn't have to be brand new, but a nice car that you enjoyed or liked, and you had decent clothes, but not like the newest, most expensive clothes. Just that alone, and you were able to produce a significant income. Imagine how quickly you'd be able to save money. And even if you didn't have a significant income, if you were content with just living in an apartment and, you know, wearing Old Navy clothes, and driving a used car that is still nice, but it's you got it for much less than a new car, you could still be able to save. In a really good way of thinking about how, like, well, okay, George, I get like the philosophy and I get like what you're trying to say, but practically speaking, how does that happen? How do you build wealth? Okay, I'm happy. Let's say I agree with you, George. I'm happy. We're all content with what we have. Um, like, how do you practically build wealth with by being happy? Well, the math shows that if you're able to save $500 a month for 25 years, and you earn an average of 12% returns on your investments. So when I mean saving, I mean like saving, not spending, but putting into investing as well. Because I know sometimes people get confused when they hear the term saving. They think, oh, just put it in a savings account. No. Investing, saving slash investing, and you're able to have 12% returns, and that's actually been doable for the past 25 years in the S&P 500, anywhere from 10 to 12%. But if you were saving $500 a month and you put it into an S&P 500 index fund, and every month you just put $500 automatically taken from your bank account, automatically taken from your paychecks, your payroll check, as like a tax, like taxes come out, insurance comes out automatically. You pay yourself automatically, put into a Roth IRA or a brokerage account or your 401k. Either of those three will work. And put $500 every single month for 25 years, you would be a millionaire. So from 20 years old to 35, 45, 50 years old, actually 20 years old, if you run the numbers for 20 years, from 20 to 45, if you're 20 to 45 years old, that's 20 years, not 25 years, 20 years. Sorry. 25 years. 20 to 25, to 45, sorry. And you save $500 a month, you'd be a millionaire with a 12% return, annual return. And so you might be thinking like, well, that's a lot. $500 is a lot. Well, it is and it isn't. Like, it goes back to being content. Like, I learned early in my career, just working and, just going out and working. If I was content with spending $25,000 a year, $30,000 a year, and the next promotion or the next bonus or the next, career bump or the next job that I took that was, 35, I would be content with the 30, living off 30. So if I would get an increase of $5,000, that would be my savings, and I wouldn't spend it. Right? Most people, unfortunately, because again, the culture that we live in the social media that we consume, and the desires of wanting to have stuff, to thinking that would make us more happy or more content, which is not true in a lot of cases, especially on material stuff like shoes and clothes and dining out and going to fancy places. You would think that would make us happier, and studies show even that that's not the case. So instead of spending it, right, you get a bump, and the first reaction for a lot of people is to spend it, to consume it, to use it to make you happy. Well, if you actually save that and put it into a Roth IRA, and did that every time you got a bump and every time you grew your income, you would be, and the key there is to be content with what you have, and that's just another way of looking at it, because I've heard people are just like complaining, and they don't like the idea of cutting, right? They don't like the idea of budgeting. They don't like the idea of not indulging in the nice things that God has for us, or the nice things that the world has for us. Or, you need to enjoy your life, especially if you're young. You need to enjoy uh, the money that you earn. That you work hard for your money. And so we listen to all those things, and we even try to convince ourselves. But if you were truly content with 30,000, and if you were happy, don't let the world or society or culture or people convince you that you're not content. I mean, companies spend trillions of dollars every year marketing to us, convincing us that we're not happy, convincing us that we need the newer thing, we need the newer technology, we need the newer this or that. We need more stuff for us to be happy. They show clips of people being happy while they're, in their new truck. If you see the marketing materials, is to invoke a level of like, man, like that would make me happy. And so don't allow those voices, the marketing voices, and the consumerism voices, and your friends and your family and the society, our culture, to tell you that you're not happy, to tell you that you're not content. Because once you listen to that, then you will consume all that additional income that you are making, and not able to save. And then the question comes up, okay, well, what's the point of building wealth? I'm content. Well, first of all, you're content, you're happy. So if you're happy, why ruin that? If you're content, why ruin that? If you're good where you're at, why ruin that? And I think oftentimes people get twisted thinking. Again, they get convinced that they're not happy. So that's the first thing, is like shut those voices down and say, I really am happy. You were happy when, I think about myself, and that's something I have to work on too. I've got to a point in my life where I am content, but I was content in my little apartment, me and Steph, my wife, being content in our little apartment, and living our life. And even if we would have had kids, like, in which we did, I'm saying, being content with something, maybe smaller than the house that we have, we were happy, and so now we're in a place where, yeah, we're definitely content with what we have, which has had allowed us in the past several years, at least the past 10 years, allowed us to really build a lot of wealth, because we didn't, as our income grew and as our business grew, we didn't, consume the growth. We saved the growth, because this was our dream house. The cars we bought, those are cars that we wanted when we were driving 15-year-old cars. We're like, okay, we got newer cars to us. They weren't brand new, but they were newer cars to us. So we were happy the fact that we were able to get new to us vehicles. And so it's content has helped us, and I believe it will help you. And my daughter Kayla's trying to get in here, but I challenge you to assess your life and assess where you're at, and try to find uh, the happiness. I encourage you to be happy with what you have. To be happy. Look around. If you have friends, if you have family, you have a job. Be happy that you live in America. Be happy that, just, there's so much to be thankful for. When we can find that happiness slash contentment, I believe we can build wealth and significant wealth. And so, why is that important? So, George, okay, I hear you. Why does it matter that I become a millionaire, in 20 to 25 years, and start saving and doing that? What's the point in that, right? Isn't that the other side of the coin where it's like, what's the point of just storing up a lot of cash or a lot of money? What are you gonna do that? Well, it's a good question. When you're building wealth, and I've come to realize this, it frees you. It frees you up from the requirements that our society has put on you. What does that mean? It helps you get out of debt. We've saved ourselves out of debt. We've saved ourselves out of debt. I know there's you can pay down debt, and aggressively pay down debt. Dave Ramsey, I love Dave Ramsey, and I agree with him, to pay down debt as quickly as possible, especially credit cards. But there's some things that, if you're not psychologically or whatever, you just can't get to a point where you can pay down debt strictly. If you are a natural saver, leverage saving and save yourself out of debt, and put that money away until you're able to invest enough. And that's what we did. Part of our debt, some of our debt we just paid off directly, but our bigger debt, like our student loans, we took, we leveraged the minimum payment and chalked up tons of money into index funds and certain stocks, which grew significantly even more. I mean, my returns were 25% returns on my investments, and my student loans were like 4 or 5%. So I was able to significantly grow my savings, and then I was able to pull the money out that I needed. It was like $60,000, and easily pay down my student loans and get rid of that. So saving frees you from the bondages of this world, like debt, for example. It also gives you options. It allows you to look for jobs that you actually enjoy. Sorry, that's Kayla, my 3-year-old. She's looking for her mother. So hopefully she finds her. But it allows you options. It allows you options to start a business. I mean, when you have cash, when you have investments in the bank, significant, it just opens opportunities for you. It's a tool, it's a resource. But if you don't have that and you just consume it, you don't have the ability to have options and to have freedom of debts and freedom of payments, to owe. There's a proverb that says the borrower is slave to the lender, and I believe that, because you do feel that way. You owe someone, and the Bible also says to not owe anybody. So it frees you up to do things like that. So wealth is important. Another thing about building wealth, especially for the long term, is the giving part. You're able to be way more generous when you're able to save, and have money set aside. I know with us, we've become more and more and more and more generous the more we build our wealth. And which makes sense, right? Because when you are consuming all that additional income that you're making instead of saving it and investing it, you're consuming it, and then it's harder for you to give. And some of you might say, well, if you're consuming it, you're also sharing it, in some aspects, and that's true. That is very true. But I can tell you from personal experience, the way you give is a lot more generous when you know and when you have a significant amount of funds in your bank account. For example, let's just think about this. Let's just imagine for a moment that you have $1 million that you said, okay, you're right. I'm going to start now. I'm going to put $500 a month into a Roth IRA or a 401k or a brokerage account, and I'm just going to put it, and I'm going to leave it in there. I'm going to leave it in there at $500 every month, religiously, every month. And let's just say you followed that and you grew your portfolio to $1 million in 20 or 25 years. And let's say you started at 20 and now you're 45, which is still young, by the way. 45 is still young. I know, when I was younger, I'm like 45 is old. It's young in the grand scheme of things. It's young. You still have tons of life to live and be able to do amazing things. There's this book by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. I don't believe there's a lot of things I disagree in that book, but there's one thing that he touched on, and it's about when you're 40, when you turn 40, that's when statistically you start making the most you ever have, which makes sense. That's when you actually start to really grow your income and your net worth when you're in your 40s, because in your 20s you're still figuring things out. In your 30s, you are doing what you are supposed to do, but you're still gaining more experience. In your 40s, you're a pro. You've done it for a long time, so you're like the top tier. You're a senior in your profession. So from 40 to like mid 50s and even 60s, you're the pro. So anyways, so let's say you become a millionaire and you're 45, you have $1,000,000. Imagine, just think about what you're able to do and how you can help people and how more generous you're going to be. And that's the key. That's the key to me, is being content will not only build you wealth, but you become more and more generous. And it's just kind of like, it's interesting because I think it's a natural progression. I think the more you build wealth, the more you're able to give with gladness, with joy. It's like the more net worth, the wealthier we've become, the more giving becomes less of a burden and more of a joy. I mean, it's kind of common sense, right? But it's so true. And so, wow, 20 minutes. Sorry, it's been so long, but I'm really passionate about this idea of being content, being happy with what you have will lead to wealth. And wealth doesn't bring wealth, money directly doesn't bring happiness. But what you can do with this and what you can do with wealth can bring others happiness. And that's how I see it. I see that I'm content with what I have. I'm living at this certain standard by my choice. I'm choosing to live contently at a certain income level, even though I might be making a lot more. I'm choosing to live this happiness. I'm happy. I'm content. That's what happiness is contentment. So I'm choosing to live this way, and the rest I'm storing up to help others, because it helps others, but also makes me happy. Like, that's the only thing that would make me happier, and I think this is true to human beings in general. That give them the necessities that they need, and and they would be able to give. That they truly find more joy in giving. I believe that. I think it's in there for everyone. So that's all I have, guys. Those are my thoughts on how contentment, I believe, happiness, and just being happy with what you currently have uh, uh, can lead to building wealth. And the point of building wealth is to help and to give, which will bring more happiness. That's all I have. Hopefully you got something out of this. I appreciate your time. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.